This video is intended to give parents a complete understanding of school attendance policy and how to report an absence. Why attendance matters. Attend today, achieve tomorrow. Research shows that regular school attendance makes an impact on student success over time throughout their years in elementary, middle, high school, college, and into career. Too many absences, excused or unexcused, can keep students from succeeding. How many are too many? 10% of the school year, that's 18 missed days or 2 days a month, can make an impact. Now, some absences are unavoidable. Students get sick. We all get sick, and we never want children to report to school when they are not feeling well. Other excused absences include doctor's appointments, religious holidays, and funerals of immediate family members. These are all considered excused absences. As a parent, you can call in the absence hotline or call the office during operational hours and speak with our attendance clerk and report your child's absent. If your child is sick, all you need to do is leave a message on the absent hotline or to the live person and let your child let us know the reason for the absence. And up to 10 times throughout the school year, you can simply calling your child in sick. You do not need a doctor's note for these 10 absences. Now, if you ever do go to the doctor or you end up at urgent care or you have an appointment, it's always important to get a note from the doctor, and you can turn that into the office because those appointments or doctor's visits will not count against the 10 parent-reported illnesses that you're allowed in a year. Now, absences that are unexcused fall outside of those other areas. And those can be things like just taking a family trip or missing school because your child just didn't want to come to school that day. So these would be considered unexcused absences. And there is attendance policy and code that we have to follow for unexcused absences. If you reach 3 unexcused absences, you receive a letter called the School Attendance Review Board Letter Number 1. It looks very formal, and it is to alert you that you have reached 3 unexcused absences. Remember, these are different than excused absences. If you get to 4 unexcused absences, you receive SARB letter number 2. And with that, we have to make an appointment, the principal and the family, to meet to discuss attendance policy, to make sure you're aware of all the protocols and procedures for reporting absences, and to ensure that your child does not continue to have unexcused absences at school. We fill out a contract and work to improve the attendance. If after 4 unexcused absences, there's another unexcused absences, then letter number 3 is sent out, and that requires the school to report the file and case to the district attorney's office, where we then have to meet in front of the district attorney to address the concerns around the unexcused absences. Again, I really want to highlight the importance of understanding that this is nothing to do with when your child is sick or has to go to the doctor, there's a religious holiday or a funeral. These are unexcused absences that fall outside the excused absences guidelines. What about tardiness? When students arrive on time, they feel relaxed and ready for the day. It's always important to arrive to school by 8:05 to avoid tardiness. That is when the first bell rings and students are going from their lines on the blacktop, and teachers are picking them up and taking them to the classroom. They hang up their backpacks so that when the bell rings at 8:10, the teacher is beginning instruction. A lot of times parents are confused because their child made it through the gate, but because they weren't in their seat by 8:10 starting class, they are marked tardy. So to avoid that, always arrive between 7:55 a.m. and 8:05. That's the goal, to not have your child be tardy. Another thing you can do to have a good plan at home is to have a morning routine for your children. And always expect delays on inclement weather days. We don't get a lot of rain in California, but when we do, it always slows down traffic. So on those days, leave the house 10 minutes earlier. Arrive as early as possible. And like I mentioned, the gates open at 7:55 and morning supervision on the blacktop lines begins at 7:55. At 8:05, the students begin to walk to their classrooms with their teachers. When is a tardy recorded as a late? Late is considered when a student arrives 30 minutes past the start of school. And the reason that this is different is because lates can add up to an unexcused absence. 3 lates is equal to 1 unexcused absence, and these will be considered in the letters that can be sent home. So always know that lates can add up to an unexcused absence for your child. Special circumstances. Now, it's always best to plan family vacations on regularly scheduled days off of school through the breaks throughout the year. However, if this is unavoidable, you may be eligible to apply for an independent study. Independent studies must be 5 school days, consecutive school days, not including a holiday. So, for example, the week of Labor Day, you couldn't count the Labor Day Monday off and the rest of the 4 days. It has to be 5 missed school days. And to apply for an independent study, you must fill out a form in the office and request the independent study 2 weeks in advance of your travel. This gives the teacher time to prepare the materials that your child will need to take with them on their trip. It also must be approved by the principal. If your child has an IEP, an individualized education plan, an IEP meeting must be scheduled and held to approve the independent study. This is why it's so important to apply for the independent studies well in advance of planned travel. All assigned classwork must be completed and graded for the absence to count as an independent study. The assignments are turned in after your trip, and they are graded, and we have to file those with our attendance records because this is something that we're audited for. This is why if you went on your trip and you ended up not turning in any of the work, that independent study would turn into unexcused absences. How to report absences. If your student is absent and you do not report the absent, and give us a reason for the absence, it is recorded as an unexcused absence. So when your child is sick and you don't call us, it goes against the attendance as an unexcused and can lead to a letter. And you can always call after the fact. So please always report your children's absences. The way to do that is to call the school office and leave a message on the attendance hotline if no one is here, or speak with the SAA to give the reason for the absence. They're the person who puts in the information into our systems to correctly code the reason for your child's absence. If you forget to call the day your child is sick, you can always call after the fact as long as it's within a reasonable time that it still can be adjusted in our system before we have to submit reports every month. Now, while it's convenient for the teachers to know if your child is going to be out for the day, it is please do not only report to teachers that your child is going to be sick. It's always the office first, and if you'd additionally like to let your teacher know, you can do so as well. If you don't let the teacher know, the office will let your teacher know. Teachers do not have access to putting in the codes in the system. If you do visit a doctor, ER, or urgent care, always remember to turn in your notes so that we can adjust that in our system as well for the reason for the absence. If at any time you have questions or concerns about your child's attendance, we have counseling support. We can answer your questions. Our goal is to make sure that parents are well informed and that your child has consistent attendance whenever possible when they're not ill. And we want to make sure that your children enjoy coming to school. So if anytime you have questions or concerns about your attendance, your child's attendance, please reach out to us.